Good morning. These words are from David Blanchard. No place like home. If a perfect church existed, and I have it on good authority that one has yet to develop, I think it would resemble something like the perfect home, another institution that lives more in our imagination than in practice. There are obvious differences, of course. One usually joins a family by no choice of one's own. At home, members may receive an allowance. At church, it works the other way around. At home, unlike at church, the leaders actually have some power to enforce their authority, even if it's only because they are bigger or older. Yet we persist in speaking about being at home in church. This is what the ideal means to me. I hope this home will be a place of shelter, a refuge from the tumult of life's disappointments and defeats, a place of consolation and encouragement. I hope this home will be a place of challenge, not complacency, a space where we are helped to mature and take on a wider sense of responsibility for ourselves and for others. I hope this home will be a place where we can be ourselves, unencumbered by judgments or ridicule, where we are accepted as we are, where we are, and for whom we are. I hope this home will be a place we might take some risks, knowing that there will be arms to catch us if we fall. I hope we will know this home is a place of love, where life is made whole, where we may become engaged at the deepest levels of being alive. If we give these hopes life among us in the community that is found at church, then there will be no place quite like it, and we will know that we are home. Will you please join me in reading the words in your services and on the screen? Welcoming all free seekers of truth and meaning, we gather to excite the human spirit, to inspire its growth and development, to respond morally and ethically in a troubled world, and to sustain a vital and nurturing religious community.
Everything goes better when we do it together, including lighting the chalice. And on that theme, our wisdom story today is We Are Together by Britta Teckentrup. On our own, we're special, and we can chase our dream. But when we join up hand in hand, together, we're a team. We may travel alone, free as birds in the sky, but by flocking together, we soar and we fly. If storm clouds gather and we're caught in the rain, let's splash through the puddles until the sun shines again. We can change the world with the power of words. Let's all rock the boat so our voices are heard. Hear the song we sing to encourage and inspire. If we all sing together, one voice becomes a choir. Walking all together on paths as yet unknown may lead us to places that feel just like home. We're off to climb mountains all the way to the top. Our friends keep us going. They won't let us stop. Embrace all life's colors, each shade, every hue, and life will be brighter whenever you do. When the icy winds blow and winter takes hold, your friends keep you warm so you won't feel the cold. When life is confusing and our way seems unclear, the horizon is distant, but our friends will stay near. At the end of each day, as we watch the night fall, a million bright stars shine down on us all. If ever we're lonely, we'll just say out loud, let's all stand together, one big happy crowd. And that is the end of our story.
Our living tradition calls us to be in covenant. For Unitarian Universalists, a congregational covenant reflects our aspirations and commitments to one another and to ourselves. In a covenantal community, each of us is empowered and has the responsibility to help one another as we seek to create a loving, supportive, and affirming community in which to grow in spirit and service. These words serve as the introduction to the covenant adopted 3 years ago, after 3 years of work, by this congregation. And these are the words of your covenant. As a congregation with respect for our past and commitment to the future, we draw from the depth and power of our hearts and minds, guided by our Unitarian Universalist principles to serve our mission and vision. We celebrate the diversity of our identities and experiences and foster a culture of appreciation, inspiration, and kindness. We honor both the strength of the collective and uniqueness of the individual, willing to support and challenge each other with love and compassion. We entrust ourselves to each other in beloved community to embolden personal and congregational growth and transformation. The words of your covenant to which you commit through membership are powerful, poignant, and deep. Underlying them are your hopes for living in accordance with a set of expressed expectations, values, principles, ideals, goals. They are words which, when taken seriously, bind you together. That's what it means to be religious, according to the Latin, to bind together. Through your covenant, you acknowledge mutual obligations and give expression to commitments to yourselves and to each other, to love, to care for, to respect each other, to support, to stay together, to keep at it, to keep in there when, especially when you may most want to get out, when angry, hurt, frustrated, feeling betrayed or shamed or guilty, when most challenged by our humanness, by the fact that we are indeed imperfect beings and will never, ever achieve perfect harmony in our relationships with each other. but we will honor the commitments implicit in our covenant. The idea of covenant is an ancient one, best known to us in Western culture through the biblical story of the prophet Moses. As the story goes, 3 months after the Hebrews fled from Egypt, Moses and his people arrived at the base of Mount Sinai, tired, hungry, thirsty, and grumbling. In the midst of their turmoil, God delivered a message. Make and keep a covenant with me. I will protect you, and you will be as a holy nation. And then God went on to say, essentially, go clean yourselves up, take a bath, brush your teeth, put on your Sunday best. And then, when everyone's ready, Moses, you come up to the mountaintop where I'm going to tell you what you need to know in order to live together. What everyone needs to know, not just Hebrews, but all people for all time. And then, as described in the biblical book of Exodus, and I quote, with shofars sounding and smoke going up like the smoke of a furnace, and all of the mountain trembling exceedingly, end quote, God delivered to Moses the 10 Commandments. These were God's expectations of the people, not simply about being in relationship with God, but guidelines for how to be in relationship with each other. Keep the covenant. Be as a holy nation, and I will be with you. And you will find ways to live together in peace. The words spoken at Sinai established a covenant between God and the people, but it also served as a covenant among the people. By the time Moses returned from that mountaintop, the people had already broken at least 2 of the commandments. They had acknowledged another god, Baal, and they had created the image of Baal in the form of a golden calf. But Moses, on behalf of the people, had made a covenant with God. So breaking the covenant was not a relationship breaker. God did scold, and Moses had a tantrum. He broke the tablets upon which the commandments had been written. But God and Moses and the people did not give up on each other. Moses went back to the mountaintop, and God was there willing to make new tablets. It seems they understood that we humans are imperfect, that we need to keep working at the covenants we make. Martin Buber said it well. We humans are promise makers, promise breakers, and promise remakers. About 2,500 years after the story of Moses was written, in 1637, a small group of Puritans and Pilgrims in Massachusetts worked together for a year, creating a covenant that would inform both civil and religious society. That covenant, which has come to be known as the Cambridge Platform, is the foundation upon which the covenant, the principles and sources of the Unitarian Universalist Association is based. Congregations would be independent. This is according to the Cambridge Platform. Congregations would be independent, and they would support each other. Authority would lie with the people of the congregations, and love would be at the center. Covenants, not creeds, would bind them, would bind us. Unlike the covenant between God, Moses, and the people, which is known as a vertical covenant, theirs was a covenant among the people and the congregations. Theirs was a horizontal covenant, as is yours. At the turn of the 19th century, nearly 250 years after ratification of the Cambridge Platform, and 125 years ago, James Vila Blake, a Unitarian minister, wrote the covenant, which appears on the covers of your orders of service. It serves well to summarize the hope and promise of the Cambridge Platform, which I would submit is reflected in your congregational covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And so once again, your covenant, you all have, those of you in the service have received a copy, and there are slides on the screen. I'd like you to read with me this time. And please listen for the echoes of history. As a congregation, with respect for our past and commitment to the future, we draw from the depth and power of our hearts and minds, guided by our Unitarian Universalist principles, to serve our mission and vision. We celebrate the diversity of our identities and experiences and foster a culture of appreciation, inspiration, and kindness. We honor both the strength of the collective and uniqueness of the individual, willing to support and challenge each other with love and compassion. We entrust ourselves to each other in beloved community to embolden personal and congregational growth and transformation. Thank you. I want to expand on one phrase from the opening of your covenant, the assertion that you will be guided by our Unitarian Universalist principles. The principles of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, along with a short paragraph which defines its purposes, have comprised, since the merger, the second article of the bylaws of the association. While Article 2 is being rethought, the principles as we have known them are still there. In word, idea, and ideal, however stated, they reveal our history, our theology, our values, and our ethics. They stand as guidelines for how we wish to live and reflect our hopes for humanity and this earth, and they are grounded in love. Especially though today, because our covenants are agreements among people, I want to look at the first principle. We affirm, we assert as fact, and we promote, we raise up, we give value to the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Before saying what it is that I believe we commit to, I would assert that we are not saying that everyone is good and everyone is going to get along. Perhaps because of this principle, more than any others, just as an aside, we are compelled to wrestle with issues of good and evil, with the realities of human nature, but that's not what we're going to do today. In the first principle, we may be stating an idea implicit in the story of Moses at Sinai. If we do not believe inherently in the dignity and worth of others, would there be much value in making our covenants? It just might not be so worthwhile to keep coming back to stay in relationship in which we have hurt and been hurt, or to continue to advocate for what we believe is right, both within the congregational community and in the larger communities of which we are a part. If Moses had not believed in the inherent worth of the people, he might never have bothered to go back for that second set of tablets. He might not have hoped that the people could and would grow in community, that they would keep working to live in accordance with what they believed, that they would work together to create the kind of world for which they yearned, the beloved community for which we yearn today. What then do we affirm, both in the first principle and in your congregational covenant? To what do we aspire? We are saying, I believe, that regardless of race, ethnicity, ability, sex, sexual orientation, every single person has worth and dignity. We are saying that in our congregations, one need not accept or endure without question unkind or insensitive comments, or inappropriate or unacceptable behavior. We are saying that we aim to see the best in each person, but not to accept the worst. That we aim to be respectful of each other, that we seek to be sensitive to honor, and to understand, to appreciate and accept the differences among us. That we will work to listen to and to hear each other's stories. That we will work to take at face value each other's statements and feelings, and that, grounded in compassion and empathy, we will seek to grow into our better selves, to be transformed. We will advocate for justice within our religious community and in society at large, and we will not ever do any of it perfectly. We will indeed make mistakes, and there will be conflict, and our covenants will call us back and call us back again, because here we are at home. James Luther Adams, one of the great Unitarian philosopher-theologians of the 20th century, observed that a covenant is an agreement based in law, but especially he understood this and communicated that the bond is based in real affection, in love and compassion. May it be so. I had thought about this. Almost 30 years ago, Sogyal Rinpoche wrote in the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying words that deepen for me the meaning of our seventh principle. True spirituality, he wrote, is to be aware that if we are interdependent with everything and everyone else, even our smallest, least significant thought, word, and action have real consequences throughout the universe. If we can live in accordance with this truth, then it seems that we will be better at living out the promise of the first principle, the promise and hope of the Albany Unitarian Universalist congregation. May it be so.
As we extinguish the chalice, please join in the words shown on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. This we carry in our hearts until we are together again. We have a few announcements. One is that please join us immediately after the service today in the back of Community Hall to meet members of the social justice team, learn about their work, and socialize in a small, quiet, and more intimate setting. This is the first monthly small coffee hour sponsored by the Congregational Life team. Each coffee hour will introduce members of a committee, team, or activity, will briefly describe an important aspect of congregational life. We look forward to meeting you soon for a stimulating conversation and refreshments. I would like to also bring your attention to the announcements that are in your order of service, just to make sure that you know that the Ministers in Operation team, the MOT, recently found out that the cost and maintenance of the custom-built pipe organ in the sanctuary is out of proportions to the organ's use. If you would like to provide respectful input and put your creative problem-solving skills to help the MOT determine next steps in addressing this issue, please communicate with us via the form provided in Windows Weekly by March 11th. Please do this. Thank you so much for the love of music and for love of something that is becoming obsolete.
Good morning. I'm Joyce Jacoin. I am here on behalf of the inclusivity team. And do we have a slide about the 8th principle? There we go. Just think about that for a minute. Maybe I'll even read it. We, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote journeying toward spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and in our institutions. When I formally joined this congregation in 2020, one of the things that attracted me to Unitarian Universalism is that here we don't just preach, we act on our beliefs. That's also what drew me to the inclusivity team. The goal of the inclusivity team is to make everyone feel comfortable and welcome, regardless of their race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, physical or mental ability, age, economic status, and so forth. We need your help to move from our expressed ideals to daily practice. The inclusivity team has been meeting on the second Sunday, starting at noon, but we realize, and we'll continue to do that, but we also realize that not everyone's available on a Sunday afternoon. And we also recognize that some people may prefer to focus on one or more of the categories, such as anti-racism, LGBTQ, accommodating physical challenges, and so forth. So we are in the process of creating subcommittees that will meet at different times to be decided. Please stop by our table in Channing Hall after service today. We're interested in hearing about your experiences about being included or not being included. If you're interested in putting your anti-bias ideas into action, you can sign up to meet with one or more of these subcommittees. You can also tell us when you are available so that we can schedule our meetings for the maximum amount of participation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And welcome to all who have joined us today. If you'd like to learn more about our congregation, you can stop by the table in the lobby and speak with Nelson Moore, who is our welcoming table host today, or at the welcome table. Those on Zoom can reach out through the chat window. There will be a chance to socialize and welcome newcomers after the service. Those on Zoom can stay and hopefully join one of the breakout teams. You can click to accept the room assignment when it appears on your screen. Those in Community Hall are invited to attend coffee hour in Channing Hall. We especially encourage guests and visitors to stay with us for coffee and refreshments. We are so glad that you joined us today. This concludes our service for today. Thank you.